Hey guys, Probable1701 here, and today we're going to talk about some classic Doctor Who. And the topic for today is if someone came up to you that had a passing familiarity with Doctor Who but had never watched Doctor Who, and they said, hey look, I know about Doctor Who, I know it's a British sci-fi show, and I know multiple people play the Doctor. I'm curious which stories I should watch. And you only had to pick one story, or you could only pick one story from each of the first 7 Doctors, all of the classic series. Which story from each Doctor would you pick? If you were like, hey, if you're gonna watch one story from each Doctor, here's the one I suggest. Now for the first Doctor, it was a little tricky because first I thought an unearthly child, but really only the first episode is good. The other 3 aren't. Then I thought the Daleks, but I'm like, well, that's very much grumpy, crotchety Doctor, and I don't really like grumpy, crotchety first Doctor. So I finally settled on one I hadn't seen yet, just because of everything I hear about it, and that was Dalek Invasion of Earth. It gives people a chance to see the Daleks, get introduced to the Daleks, plus I hear Hartnell's great in it, plus I hear it's a good story, and plus I know The Farewell with Susan's good in it. And it is very much a Dalek story I want to see. Excuse me, as well. But that's probably the one I would recommend for the first Doctor. Even though I haven't seen it, I hear so many good things about it. That's the one I would suggest. Now, the second Doctor, this one was tricky for me because there's so many second Doctor stories I like. But I'm like, what's a good first story for the second Doctor? Now, I was thinking Power of the Daleks, but one, I don't want to do one that's animation. I want to do one that's either all live action or mostly live action. With that in mind, I thought not Fury from the Deep, good lord, what am I saying? Web of Fear was a good one. Web of Fear is really good. It's got a good atmosphere to it. It's got a lot of tension going on throughout it. It's very much a who is the bad guy, which one is the bad guy as things progress. I really like the Doctor in it. I really like meeting the Brigadier in it. And only one episode is missing. We have that animated. I don't think that would be hard for someone new to the show to adjust to. It would give them a good introduction to the fact there are some episodes missing and that animations are slowly replacing them. And most of the stories in live action anyway. And it's just a good story, good atmosphere, good tension. In the sewers, it feels very claustrophobic. It's just got a real good personality, if that makes sense. Some stories, some episodes of stuff can have kind of their own personality to it, kind of like Midnight does. And I think Web of Fear really does that really well. It kind of has its own creepy personality to it. For the third Doctor, I was going to say Inferno, because I love Inferno. It's my favorite Pertwee story. But it is a tad long, and while it does fill out its 7 parts really well, it still might be a tad long for someone just getting into Doctor Who. So I'm going to say Day of the Daleks, the special edition of Day of the Daleks, because I do love the enhanced effects. The Day of the Daleks special edition, the added effects really enhance the story, really add to it, and make the execution of the story live up to the actual script of the story. I think the cast is good in it. John is great. Joe is great. All of the people from the future, I think, are really good. I love how the soldiers from the future have their own unique speak. It's not a lot different, but little subtle things like, do you connect? Things like that. I really like when Doctor Who does that and understands that the language will be slightly different. I love the story. I love the story. The whole time travel aspect, I love that. And them inadvertently causing the problems themselves, I love that. I love the redone Dalek voices in the special edition. They're a million times better. I just like Day of the Daleks a lot. And the special edition really makes the story, the episodes live up to the actual scripted story. It's really, really good. For the fourth Doctor, naturally my first instinct was to go with Genesis, because Genesis is amazing, one of the best Doctor Who stories ever. At 6 parts, for someone new to the show, I'm not sure. It's still good, but there is a lot of heavy stuff going on in Genesis. I think I would actually go with City of Death, because I love City of Death. It's my favorite Doctor Who story of all time. But 2, I think City of Death is Doctor Who at its wittiest, at its peak wittiness. It's definitely the 4th Doctor at peak wittiness. If it's someone that already likes Douglas Adams anyway, maybe they've read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and like it. I think Julian Glover is a great villain. I love everything that's going on here with the time stuff. I love City of Death. I think Duggan is a great companion that wasn't a companion, a great almost companion. I really think Romana, the Fourth Doctor, and Duggan would have made a really, really fun TARDIS team. I really enjoyed them. So much I love about City of Death. Nice cameo from John Cleese. It's just such a good story. It's so humorous. It's so funny. Well, you're a beautiful woman, probably. I love that line. So if I really wanted to introduce somebody to the Fourth Doctor, this is the story I think I would go to, would be City of Death. The Fifth Doctor, Caves of Androzani. No contest, Caves of Androzani. It is the best Fifth Doctor story. It's one of the best stories from the 80s. Slightly overrated, perhaps, but one of the best stories from the 80s. Davison just gives a heck of a performance here. And seeing everything he goes through, especially in that last episode when he's just pushing himself to save his friend, when he just pretty much makes it inside of the TARDIS and just collapses. It's such a tour de force. It's such a good story. And the fact that really their main goal is just getting out of there. Just getting the heck out of there. They are in a bad situation. They would have been better off had they never even landed there, and just getting out. It's such a good story. Number 6 on the list is Vengeance. I do think Vengeance on Varos is, I think it's Colin Baker's best TV story. It's my favorite TV story by him. And it's the one I point to that doesn't have a lot of issues, besides the Perry turning into a bird thing's kind of weird. Other than that, really, really good. I like how it kind of predates reality TV, and does some nice foreshadowing for reality TV. So people in today's world who watch reality TV are very aware that it's a thing, could see this episode and be like, hey, that's pretty neat, reality TV. They might could connect to it on that level. It's very dark. People who like kind of darker stuff, like that's in kind of season 22 and stuff, they might like it with the acid bath and the Doctor practically dying on the ground. Syl's a good villain. So I could see people, who might like the kind of darker tone of Colin's era might really connect with that story. It's a really good story. And for McCoy, I know a lot of people would jump straight to Remembrance, but we already have a couple Dalek stories on the list. Plus, I think Remembrance is a bit overrated anyway. I'm going to say Curse of Fenric, which I also think is a bit overrated, but it's a really good story. It really is Chessmaster 7th Doctor. You have a lot of good development with Ace going on here that I really enjoy. I love the atmosphere of the story. It has some really good imagery. I love seeing all the hemivores rising out of the water. I love their costume design and how unique each one of them looks. Very good costume design there. I like the scene when the two girls pull the soldier into the river. That's creepy. And then when they go after their wicked stepmother, Anne, or whoever she is, that's pretty cool. When the hemivores assault the church. I mean, there's a lot of really neat, creepy stuff going on there. When the hemivores assault all of the women in the base there and they're screaming to get out, and then the next time you see all the women, they've been turned into hemivores, they turn around with their I'm like, yeah. Got all of them. It's a good story. And then just McCoy in it. McCoy is so good in this story. Watching him and Fenric face off at the end, I gotta admit, I'm really impressed with Curse of Fenric. I think it's a little overrated. I personally prefer Ghostlight to it, but I wouldn't want someone who's just starting off with Doctor Who to watch Ghostlight, because Ghostlight is very confusing. So I would definitely suggest Curse of Fenric over that. So those are the stories I would suggest for each Doctor. What do you think of my list, and which stories would you suggest if you were suggesting, just, hey, if you're going to start watching Doctor Who, here's a story to watch from each Doctor to kind of get you into the show. Let me know what you think. Comment down below. I always enjoy interacting with you guys. Other things to do, click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications so you never miss out on a new video. I also have a Patreon if you would like to contribute to that. There is a link to that down in the description below. Check that out. My entry-level tier is only $2 a month if you want to support what I do. Every person who joins gets a free video request if there's something you want me to talk about, sci-fi related. Most importantly, though, stay safe out there, and thank you for watching.